Hi guys, welcome to the Really Good Podcast with your host, Bobbi Althoff.
I'm not an anythinger. I don't have any talents.
So how'd you become an influencer or creator?
Just wanting to make money. It's just constructive criticism. It can be a little mean, but yeah, it doesn't bother me too much.
Just hard to imagine finding someone who is truly good for you. It's hard to imagine there's a world where there's someone who's actually meant for you.
It feels like every few months we're right back talking about Bobbi Althoff again. The last time her name was dominating timelines, it looked like she had pulled off the ultimate fake exit. She hinted she was done with the internet, even admitted to critics that she had fallen off and let everyone believe it was over. But then, surprise, it wasn't a goodbye at all. It was a rollout plan, that dramatic I'm done moment, just a setup to launch her new podcast, Not This Again. And the big hook was her awkward reunion with Drake, staged in a bed, clearly trying to recreate the viral spark that made her famous in the first place. Cringe doesn't even cover it. From the start, it felt like she was trying way too hard to catch lightning in a bottle twice, and it just didn't land the same. Sure, the full interview pulled in millions of views over time, but when it came to viral clips, real cultural buzz, or bringing serious hype back to Bobbi's name, it barely moved the needle. If anything, she caught most of the backlash. Drake at least walked away with a few viral moments, mostly at her expense. The clips that spread weren't deep, inspiring, or career reviving. They were Drake lightly teasing her, making slick comments about her parenting, and throwing subtle jabs that the internet quickly picked apart. Those were the moments people shared, and overall, the whole promo cycle felt uncomfortable to watch. My first thought after seeing it all unfold? At this point, Drake basically controls the narrative whenever her name is attached to his. Not legally, obviously, but culturally. Drake was the one who pushed Bobbi Althoff into the mainstream a few years back with that first viral interview, and now it almost felt like he was trying to revive her relevance again.
Name my daughter Richard.
There is nothing more embarrassing than walking around with one of these.
You can leave now.
This is my hotel. I paid for this motherfucker. You can leave now.
I'd do it.
Thank you.
Pulling her out of internet obscurity and giving her another shot at attention. But here's the reality. In the 5 months since that awkward round 2 energy, almost nothing major has happened. Yes, she sat down with Kevin Durant about 2 months after the Drake episode, and that interview did decent numbers. But just like before, the spotlight felt tied more to the guest than the host. KD rarely does long-form interviews, so of course his fan base was going to show up in full force. That attention wasn't necessarily about Bobbi leveling up. It felt more like Kevin Durant bringing his audience with him. If anything, it gave off the vibe of a favor being done. And let's be real, there are probably deeper industry relationships at play here. Connections that open doors most podcasters at her level wouldn't even get near. When you really break down what's happening, another pattern jumps out. She's barely posting. This new era of her show has averaged about 1 episode every couple of months. That's not building momentum. That's just staying afloat. To be fair, she did try to adjust the formula. The dry, ultra-awkward, sarcastic persona has been softened. She seems more open now, slightly more conversational, less confrontational with guests. On paper, that sounds like growth, but here's the issue. The content still feels flat. There's not much depth, not much research, no surprising angles. It often feels like she shows up, asks surface-level questions, and waits for the guest's name to carry the entire episode. Even some of the brand partnerships raised eyebrows, like teaming up with Logan Paul's Prime. That collaboration didn't exactly scream prestige. It felt random and a little chaotic rather than strategic. And here's where it gets even stranger. She's only released 5 episodes of this new version of the show.
Yes, I did name my daughter Richard. I just always really loved the name Richard, and I wanted a boy, but I had a girl, and I decided to name her Richard anyway.
There is nothing more embarrassing than walking around with one of these. Everyone knows how it got there. They know what you did.
2 of them were quietly deleted after underperforming, yet somehow, she's already talking about season 2. Season 2 of what? It barely felt like season 1 even got off the ground. In the announcement trailer for this so-called new season, Bobbi leaned hard into self-awareness. She reads out harsh comments. She acknowledges people calling her boring, overrated, even an industry plant. It's very meta, very I'm in on the joke. But self-awareness alone doesn't equal improvement. Sometimes it just confirms what critics were already saying. At this point, it's obvious she's seen the commentary swirling around her name, and the trailer makes one thing clear. She's planning to return to that deadpan, awkward, hyper-dry persona that made her go viral the first time. The same energy that sparked her breakout moment. The big question now, can lightning actually strike twice? Or was that first explosion a one-time moment the internet has already moved on from? While Bobbi tries to frame everything like she's in on the joke, like none of the criticism touches her, the breadcrumbs tell a different story. That same self-aware trailer quietly disappeared from YouTube after pulling only around 10,000 views in a couple of days. That kind of silent deletion usually points to one thing: low performance. And this isn't new. She's admitted before that she removes underperforming content because she doesn't like visible failure tied to her name. That alone says a lot about how much the numbers matter behind the scenes. I actually sat through a full hour-long interview she did about 11 months ago, back when things were objectively stronger for her. And out of that entire hour, nearly 40 minutes were focused on her critics. The comment sections, how they affect her, how deeply they get under her skin, how exhausting it feels to read them every day.
Making around like 250 to 300 a year.
1,000.
Yeah.
From brand
deals on TikTok. Wow. And 250 is great and all, but it's hard to come up with content with just me every day.
$250,000 a year as an annual income is great and all.
Yes.
It is great.
It is my podcast, so I'm trying my best. I've had a few guests, some D-list celebrities.
Now here's the first rule of being online. At some point, you have to let the comments roll off your back. I read mine, even when I get dragged, even when I mess up. And sometimes the criticism is fair. At least it's real feedback. But Bobbi seems to have slipped into that dangerous internet space where strangers start living in your head rent-free. We've already seen signs of that. Pressure cracking through, her voice breaking in interviews, tearing up while explaining how much the negativity impacts her. In those moments, it felt clear this lifestyle might not be built for her long term. And yet, in the same breath, she admits the hate fuels her. That's the contradiction. She says it hurts, but she also knows controversy keeps her relevant. It's like she can't fully reject it because she understands it keeps her name circulating. There's also a pattern in how she categorizes critics. She's implied before that most of the backlash comes from a specific type of audience. She even suggested to Trevor Wallace that his fan base likely overlaps with that group. She echoed similar sentiments in her interview with Teddy Swims, which has since been deleted. Watching her emotional cycle is honestly fascinating. 1 minute she's emotional in an interview, the next she's venting to a guest, then she's posting a sarcastic TikTok voiceover about it, and then there's the clip of her crying directly into her phone camera over online comments. That part is still hard to process. Turning on your camera mid-breakdown to document it feels like blending real emotion with performance in a way that blurs every line. Another thing that stands out is the disconnect between the persona and the person. On her podcast, she plays the cold, dismissive, slightly detached character, but she's admitted separating that character from her real self.
I am, but
you do feel kind of planty. We do have the same manager, so is this
I know, isn't that crazy?
Feels a bit planty.
This is definitely
you got here in 5 minutes. It took me 20 years.
Hey, it has been a minute.
What I think industry plan is, it's like somebody that has been that is tied to someone else in the industry and uses those connections to capitalize, and they have zero talent.
I'm not an anythinger. I don't have any talent.
Isn't easy, and sometimes it feels like that persona has started to shape how she views herself internally. In the new trailer, she basically confirmed what many people suspected. The only path she sees back to relevance is returning to that same deadpan, awkward formula from 2023. But here's the issue. Going back doesn't automatically fix the foundation, because at the end of the day, there was never a strong foundation built, like many viral moments we've talked about before, including the Hawk Tuah wave. Audiences rushed in because the clips were exploding, because she had Drake, because she had Lil Yachty, because big names attract attention. But viral clips don't automatically turn into loyal fans. And that's the gap she's staring at right now. Eventually, the bit runs out of steam. Once the fourth wall cracks and people realize the negativity is actually getting to you, the act stops being funny. It stops feeling natural. The mystique fades fast. It's like watching a magician expose the trick and then trying to perform it again like nothing happened. Once you've seen behind the curtain, it just doesn't hit the same. At first, people believed she was naturally awkward, naturally dry, naturally indifferent. different. That's what made it entertaining. But when it becomes clear that it's a carefully built persona, and one that seems emotionally draining, the illusion collapses. The audience starts questioning everything. Was it ever authentic, or was it always performance? And that's the real crossroads. So what's actually left now? I genuinely want to know what you think about the current state of Bobbi.
My podcast.
Why you keep saying that cat shit, man? I honestly didn't even want to do this shit. I don't fucking do interviews. I'm fucking with you because they're making me. You need a little bit of seasoning. You ain't got no seasoning, man. You like a plain piece of chicken just on the thing. You pull it off and then you serve the dish. You need some motherfucking seasoning, man.
You can leave now.
This is my hotel. I paid for this motherfucker. You can leave now.
If you had to choose, who would you rather be right now? Her or Hawk Tuah? At least Hawk Tuah seemed fully aware of what was happening. She went viral off one wild moment, rode the wave confidently, and accepted when it started to fade. That level of clarity might matter more than people realize. When you zoom out and look at the full timeline, the bigger picture starts to feel less like a comeback story and more like a slow stall out. Bobbi Althoff didn't fade overnight. It wasn't one catastrophic flop or one scandal that knocked her off track. It was momentum slowly leaking away, month by month, until the silence between uploads started saying more than the episodes themselves. That's the part nobody really talks about. Virality creates the illusion of permanence. When someone explodes onto the scene the way she did, it feels like they're locked in for years. Headlines everywhere, clips dominating For You pages, major artists sitting across from her. It looked unstoppable at the time, but internet fame moves fast, and if you don't build something solid underneath it, the drop-off can be just as dramatic as the rise. What made Bobbi interesting in the first place was unpredictability. Guests didn't know how to react. The audience didn't know if she was serious. That tension created moments people wanted to share, but unpredictability only works when it feels effortless. The second it feels calculated, the magic weakens. And right now, everything feels calculated. The rebrand, the self-aware trailer, the season 2 reset, even the decision to lean back into the deadpan energy feels less like instinct and more like strategy.
You did. I really do appreciate
On my daughter's
that.
first birthday.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
You missed your daughter's first birthday for
To be here.
Dark. Dark. Regret that you'll never be able to undo.
Looks like me. Am I your type?
I'd do it.
Thank you.
Almost like she's reverse engineering her own past instead of evolving forward. That's a risky move because audiences can sense when someone is chasing a previous high. It creates pressure, and pressure rarely produces organic moments. Instead of watching someone grow naturally, viewers feel like they're watching someone attempt to recreate a blueprint that already expired. Another factor that can't be ignored is oversaturation fatigue. The internet has seen dozens of overnight personalities come and go. The bar is higher now. Audiences expect more depth, more substance, more authenticity. If all you're offering is awkward pauses and surface level questions, eventually viewers want something more. Consistency also matters more than people admit. Releasing one episode every couple of months doesn't build loyalty, it builds forgetfulness. By the time the next upload drops, casual viewers have already moved on to the next trending personality. Momentum online is fragile. You either feed it consistently or it disappears. And when episodes underperform and quietly vanish, that sends another message. It tells the audience numbers matter more than narrative. It signals insecurity. Even if that's not the intention, perception becomes reality in the digital space. There's also the brand identity problem. Is Bobbi the awkward anti-host, the ironic commentator, the emotional, vulnerable creator, the sarcastic, self-aware meta personality? It feels like she's cycling through all of them without fully committing to one. That creates confusion, and confusion makes it hard for audiences to connect long term. The strongest creators usually lock into a lane and deepen it. They refine it. They evolve it gradually.
Just like hard to imagine finding someone who is truly good for you. It's hard to imagine there's a world where there's like someone who's actually meant for you. Dating is just hard, you guys. Like,
they don't completely reset every few months. Right now, Bobbi feels like she's testing versions of herself in real time, hoping one sticks again. And here's the tough part. The Drake moment may have been both the best thing that ever happened to her and the ceiling she can't break through. When your breakout interview becomes the defining image of your brand, everything afterward gets compared to that peak. every guest, every clip, every awkward silence. That's an impossible standard to chase. Even the Kevin Durant episode, which performed well by most standards, didn't shift perception. It felt like a solid interview, not a cultural reset. And solid isn't what launched her in the first place. Shock value did, novelty did, surprise did. You can't surprise people with the same surprise twice. What makes this even more complicated is that Bobbi clearly understands the commentary around her. She's not unaware. She's watching, she's reading, she's reacting. That awareness can either sharpen you or paralyze you. Right now, it seems to be creating hesitation. Hesitation shows up in slower uploads, in deleted episodes, in constant format tweaks, in leaning back on old formulas instead of building new ones. The audience sees it, and once the mystique is gone, rebuilding trust becomes harder than gaining it in the first place. When viewers feel like they've figured you out, the intrigue fades. Not because they hate you, but because there's nothing left to decode. So what's the path forward? Doubling down on the 2023 persona might bring temporary nostalgia clicks. It might spike a few clips, but without deeper preparation, sharper questions, and stronger identity, it won't sustain long term. Viral culture has matured. Audiences are quicker to scroll and slower to commit. And maybe the most important question isn't whether she can go viral again.
All jokes aside, all honesty, this is the last episode. In honor of the last episode, my sister and I are going to sing a song. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya?
It's whether she even wants the cost that comes with it, because going viral isn't just numbers, it's scrutiny, it's constant commentary, it's strangers analyzing your personality frame by frame. We've already seen how much that weighs on her. If criticism genuinely hits that hard, chasing another explosion could be emotionally expensive. There's still opportunity. She has name recognition, she has industry access, she has experience navigating the spotlight, but name recognition without reinvention eventually plateaus. Right now, Bobbi Althoff feels like she's standing between two versions of herself. The viral lightning strike personality that made her famous, and the more aware, slightly fatigued creator who's trying to figure out what comes next. That tension is visible, and unless something genuinely fresh breaks through, the internet might simply file her into the category it's built for so many before her, the era-specific moment that burned bright, then cooled off quietly. The next few uploads will matter more than people think, not because of view counts alone, but because they'll show whether she's evolving or just replaying history. And online, evolution is everything. There wasn't some deep hidden narrative pushing her forward. No grand strategy, no layered master plan. With Bobbi Althoff, it honestly feels like even she might not fully understand how and why she blew up the way she did. That first viral wave in 2023 hit fast and hard. And sometimes when something explodes that quickly, the person at the center of it doesn't have time to reverse engineer what actually worked. Early on, part of her formula was bold.
Just with a girl with a dream to make more money, and I knew when I started that it was going to go places. I didn't know I would fall off as quickly as I did. To be honest, I did think this was going to last a bit longer. But nevertheless, it lasted a minute, and I'm proud of the accomplishments I have, and I'm pretty sad that it has to end like this.
Awkward tension. She leaned into playful, flirty energy with certain male guests. She asked questions that made people uncomfortable in a way that felt unpredictable. It was edgy without being over the top. It created clips that people couldn't ignore. Whether that was fully intentional or just instinctive timing, it worked. The internet grabbed it and ran with it. But fast forward to the Drake reunion episode, and the dynamic felt completely different. Drake was clearly teasing her throughout that conversation. The tone felt layered. There were moments where it seemed like he was subtly steering the narrative, dropping jokes that the internet immediately dissected. And Bobbi's reactions, they felt slower. Either she genuinely didn't clock the teasing in real time, or she chose to lean into it hoping the awkward tension would recreate that viral magic. The problem is, when the audience can sense someone trying to recreate a moment instead of living in it naturally, the energy shifts. It becomes performance instead of spontaneity, and performance rarely hits the same way twice. That reunion wasn't necessarily a disaster. It pulled views, it sparked conversation, but culturally, it didn't reset her status. It didn't relaunch her momentum in the way some people expected. If anything, it highlighted how difficult it is to recreate lightning in a bottle. And that brings us to the bigger issue. Momentum online isn't just about one big guest. It's about rhythm. It's about consistency. It's about building something that feels bigger than a single viral spike. Right now, Bobbi's upload schedule has been scattered. Long gaps, quiet deletions, rebranding announcements that don't fully land. That kind of inconsistency makes it harder to rebuild trust with an audience.
She was a great podcast. She got me this house, got me the car I drive. She got me a lot of stuff, and she was really great. I really did appreciate her for the time I had with her. And she brought me a lot of memories and a lot of great guests. I will miss doing this podcast, and I will miss the money.
That already feels uncertain. Then there's the persona question. Is she the detached, monotone anti-host who disarms guests with silence? Is she the self-aware meta-commentator reading hate comments for irony? Is she the vulnerable creator admitting criticism gets to her? Or is she trying to be all of those at once? When identity starts shifting too often, audiences struggle to anchor themselves. People follow creators not just for guests, but for a stable personality they recognize. And when that personality feels fluid or reactive, the connection weakens. Another layer to all this is the pressure of expectations. When your breakout moment involves A-list names and explosive clips, everything after that gets measured against the same yardstick. Kevin Durant sitting down with her was objectively a big get. Most podcasters would celebrate that as a career highlight, but because her origin story involved Drake and viral shock moments, Solid doesn't feel groundbreaking anymore. And that's not necessarily fair, but it's reality. The internet has a short memory for context, but a long memory for peaks. Once you've shown people the highest high, they expect that level every time. Anything less feels like decline, even if it's still objectively successful. There's also the emotional side. Bobbi has openly discussed how comments affect her, how draining it can be to read negativity, how exhausting it feels when thousands of strangers analyze your personality daily. That kind of exposure isn't light work. It chips away over time, and when someone is clearly impacted by that criticism, the audience senses it. Once the fourth wall cracks and viewers realize the persona isn't bulletproof, the mystique fades. The act stops feeling effortless. It starts feeling heavy, and once that weight shows, it's hard to go back to pretending none of it matters. So the question becomes, what's next? Does she double down on the original deadpan formula? Does she pivot fully into vulnerability and transparency? Does she reinvent entirely? Each option carries risk. Go back to the old version, and it may feel outdated. Move forward into something softer, and she risks losing the edge that made her stand out. And here's something else worth considering. Some viral personalities accept their moment for what it was. A wave, a season, a flash. They ride it confidently, cash in on the opportunity, and when it fades, they pivot quietly without trying to force history to repeat itself. That kind of self-awareness can actually protect a brand long term. With Bobbi, it feels like she's still in the middle of figuring out whether that first explosion was the beginning of a long runway or a once-in-a-generation spike. The next few months will likely answer that. If she locks into a consistent schedule, sharpens her interviews with deeper research, and defines a clear identity, there's absolutely room for growth. She still has name recognition. She still has access to major guests. She still has experience navigating attention. But if the focus remains on recreating old formulas and chasing nostalgia instead of building something new, the internet may simply move on. And now I want to bring it to you. Have you actually sat through a full Bobbi Althoff podcast episode from beginning to end? Not just the viral clips floating around on social media, but the full hour-long conversation. Did it hold your attention? Did it feel layered? Or did it feel like the guest was doing most of the heavy lifting? Do you genuinely believe she can rebuild that kind of cultural momentum? Or was 2023 one of those rare lightning moments that doesn't strike twice? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where you stand on this. If you made it this far, hit the like button so more people can find the discussion. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We're back, consistent and locked in. Share this video with someone who's been following the Bobbi timeline from the start. Appreciate all the support, seriously. We're moving full steam ahead from here, and there's a lot more to break down. I'll see you in the next one.